Hey y'all, listen, it's our favorite holiday, Payday. Got paid yesterday, right? So we're doing our payday routine, and this is our second paycheck of the month. Let me tell y'all, we gotta go on a no spend. We cannot spend another dime from today to the end of the month. So we have 6 more days till the end of the month, and y'all know the sun's gonna be doing what the sun is doing. We're driving home from work now. Yeah, but this is what it is. When we do our payday routine, it lets us know where we are and what moves we need to make. If we need to tighten up the purse strings, or if we have something a little extra to go towards either our saving goals or our spending goals. It's okay to have whichever goals you want to have. And sometimes you can switch it up month to month to month. Some months I may say, you know what, I'm going to have a spending goal. I'm going to treat myself to something nice. I'm going to buy something I don't normally buy, that sort of thing. Or I may have a savings goal where I say, hey, here are my long-term financial plans. This is what I want to do. If I don't spend, whatever I don't spend, I get to apply toward that stretch goal. Okay, at the end of the month, we get to make our stretch goals, right? Y'all, our stretch goal this month is we ain't got another nada to spend. So we need to go on a spending diet. But let's talk about it. So the first thing I do when I get paid, after looking at my paycheck, looking at my checking account and seeing what's what, making sure everything looks kosher, copacetic, I then go in to start reconciling some of my bills, right? So when I looked at my paycheck, at the time that I got paid, I had $9,952 in my checking account. Now that sounds like a lot. Now, wait till we start hacking away. A lot of you know that I live a credit card lifestyle. This light is taking forever. All right, here we go. A lot of you guys know that I live a credit card lifestyle. And what that simply means is that I try to pay all of my bills using a credit card, right? Now, I don't just swipe. What I spend is actually according to my budget. So we know that we will have the money in our paychecks to cover what we're spending, right? Our monthly bills, our groceries, our food, so on and so forth. So when I get paid, I then pull up my credit cards one at a time and I start paying the bill, zeroing out the balance, and then making sure that everything matches up with my budget. You know, like, did I go to a restaurant? If I did, is that line item in my budget so that it all goes together? And I tend to just pull up the credit card that I think is going to be the easiest to do first, which for me is going to be my American Express, because I don't make a lot of purchases on that card. So I know it's going to be really easy to pay the bill and keep it moving. So on the American Express, we paid $82. Then the next card in the order of ease and grace was going to be my City Prestige credit card. On that card, I made a payment of $401. And then the last card was going to be the card that I knew I was making my most transactions. And the main reason for this, guys, isn't even because of points. Honestly, my Citi card gives me the best points for my buck. But this card, I'm actually beefing up. Jay and I are actually beefing up this card because we have some travel coming up in the future, and we want to get as many points on this card as we can so that we can use this card to offset some of our plane fare. So that's the goal. So mostly everything we're doing goes on this card, minus food. I put my food on the Citi card, which actually gives me good. It gives me like 5 times the points. And that's basically so that Jay and I don't confuse who bought what when it comes to food, because I'm not paying for all his food, y'all. He be out in them streets eating out. So that just kind of keeps it clear and easy. So he knows his food goes on one card, my food goes on another card. But everything else we put on the Bank of America card so that we can beef up these points and use them for our upcoming 2025 vacations. We're going to pull over, guys, so that we can talk. All right. Boom. Boom. All right. So, take off the seatbelt. Get comfortable. So, guys, Bank of America, I paid $6,787 on that card. And y'all know the reason, a lot of you know the main reason for that was because of this car. This Tesla broke down and we had to put it in the shop to have it repaired. Okay, let's just have a tangent. We're going to have tangents because we're like that. You and I, us, we are like that. So let's tangent our lives away. Guys, so this car came up to, the cost of the repairs came to $7,035, right? I did not pay the full balance just yet. It just got charged. So technically we have a 30-day window cycle to pay off that full balance before interest is applied. So what I'm really appreciative of is the fact that I did not have to go into my emergency fund to pay this. I took the money straight from the income that I bought in this month of October, right? So what this also meant is that there were some other things I had planned on doing in October. The house. My house payoff is suffering from this. So instead of sending extra money to my house, to my mortgage, for the mortgage paid off, I decided to just use that money to pay this car. That way, again, I didn't have to dip into emergency funds and I didn't necessarily have to put it on credit. So I decided that I paid $6,035. So I have $1,000 more that I have to pay. And I'm just going to pay that on my first November paycheck when I get paid in November. So it's going to come out of the November funds. So that's what I decided to do. But guys, after we paid off of our credit cards, this left us with a balance in our bank account of $2,682. So we went from wait a minute, we almost went from $10,000. Now we're down to about $2,500, right? Boom. The next thing I did after I paid off my bills is I went and paid or gave money to the people and organizations near and dear to my heart. Giving is huge to me, y'all. So I did $1,300 worth of giving in donations. And honestly, that's not even represented in my budget. Whenever we talk about our budget, you don't necessarily see all the money that I give because sometimes the money is coming from savings. So the money had already been moved into this account so that I could give it away. And therefore, you didn't necessarily have to see it in my budget because it wasn't necessarily something I was budgeting for, right? But the money's there. But we're just going over my payday routine and what was in my bank account and how it's dwindling away because $1,300 is going toward donations. You know what's interesting? I would rather do a no spend than cut short what I plan on gifting. If I said I was going to give it, my word is my bond. I'm giving it. Because I know that I am so freaking blessed that some of the money that I spend on things, on frivolous things that don't have to be, doesn't have to be. But there are people and charities out there that could actually use financial blessings, financial donations. And I don't know, that's just always been a big part of me. Ever since I was in the military, like I've always was a giver. I always gave. And I kind of see that as it's not last on my list. Even where you might see I might cut money from my house fund. Like if I say I'm going to give $500 to the house, but then I'm kind of short, I would give $250 to the house before I don't give. I will always hit my giving goals. I may not hit the other goals, but I will always hit the giving goals. That's what it is. So $1,300 goes to giving and donations. And this leaves us with $1,382, okay? Now, $756 is still unclear. So these are things that are still happening, or I wrote a check, long guy looking at you because he still takes checks, that haven't cleared yet. So $756 went to the lawn, it went for a promo, and it went for insurance. So those things are going to come out, but they haven't come out yet. So now this leaves us with $626. From there, $600 went over to my tax fund. This is my, what's it called? My mind be going blank, y'all. What's it called when you have an emergency fund? A sinking fund. Sinking fund. So I save up my money for taxes so that when the tax bill pops up, the money is there. So $600 went over for that. And y'all, after that happened, this left us with $26. $26. Now, let me tell you this. According to my budget that I do in every dollar, I have $11 left in my budget. $11. So what this means is $15 is a cushion in my checking account. So we have a $15 cushion, but technically we have $11 to our names. Because we are not pulling money from our savings. We are not shortchanging any of the other things we said right here. Matter of fact, when I saw $1,300 for giving and donations, I had already started sending that stuff off. Money as good as gone. So we have $11, guys. So how are we going to survive? What's our plan? What's our plan? If you're going to have a no spend, you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. What are you eating? What are you doing? So this is my tips for having a no spend. 1, look at your calendar. Look to see, are there any activities, holidays, events popping up that's going to require you to leave the house? Because I feel like every time we leave the house, we spend money, whether we plan on spending it or not. Leaving the house is a risk. Is a risk, okay? So I'm not leaving the house this weekend. I'm not going anywhere this weekend. I had the opportunity to go to a comedy show. I'm not doing it because even though it's going to be free, even though the comedy show is free, normally when you go to the comedy show, you're going to want to either buy food or drinks, or sometimes because it's free, you don't know if, you know how it goes. Like, it's free. So sometimes you say to the other people, like, you know what? I got this, as a thank you for having me out to this free event. So free's not always free. So therefore, we're going to pass up the comedy show. We're not going. We're not going. We ain't got the money to go. And no, I have not ran this by Jay. It'll be all right. I count my dollars. I don't count his. So if I ever plan to go somewhere, I just make the assumption that it's my treat. If he planned to go somewhere, it's his treat. If I plan to go somewhere and I tell him it's his treat, then it's his treat. But other than that, it's my treat, right? So it's either his treat, or my treat. So because, again, we're not doing it. So we're not running this by him. The other thing we have coming up is Halloween. We already discussed we're not giving out candy for Halloween. What y'all doing for Halloween? What y'all doing? So we're not going to any Halloween parties. Nobody's even invited us to a Halloween party. Yeah, so I think that covers all of the bases of how we're not going to put ourselves in a situation to save money. That. 2, the other thing that I do is I have a calendar. I like keeping a written calendar. Here's my calendar. At the top of my calendar every month, I write down a list of my benefits, and then I'll write a check mark if I actually use the benefits. And these are usually credit card benefits, right? This way I don't forget to take advantage of the perks that I have. Well, I haven't used any of my perks this month. So this is how we're going to get through between tomorrow and next week, right? So the perks that we have is this. We have $7 for Dunkin' Donuts. We have $10 for Uber Eats. Now, Uber Eats will go over $10. So the only way we can kind of do this is if Jake gets us Uber Eats and I apply my $10 discount. Gotta think, gotta be smart, y'all. Then we also have $10 for Cheesecake Factory. Now, once again, that'll probably go a little bit over, but again, I'll be mindful so that it doesn't go so much over, but we have that $11, maybe even $26 cushion to pull from to make a complete meal if it comes down to that. And I say that because we also have our meal preps that come in on Monday next week. So that takes care of all of my lunches for next week. But I also have my work lunch benefits, which can range anywhere from $50 to $75 because work will treat me for entree, a dessert, an appetizer. If I go to Coastal Flats and get entree, dessert, and appetizer, that actually can feed me for a whole week. For real. So that is our plan for how we are going to get through for our no spend for the next week.